Experience standpoint, it seems that Pam Bondi is a more conventional choice. Is that going to give her an easier path in the Senate?
It certainly will, especially given the fact that Matt Gaetz was such a problem for so many in the Republican Party, but just that I think even in the Trump world, they were shocked by his decision to pick Matt Gaetz initially. So it does kind of ease the path for Pam Bondi moving forward, and also probably for a couple of the other people who have been nominated or selected by Trump transition team, and helping them because of how bombastic Matt Gaetz of a pick was.
Is there any red flag that you see with Pam Bondi then?
Personally, of course, but again, it's just a loyalist pick. So it's just, at this point, at least she has some credentials to back her up, as opposed to Matt Gaetz having nothing behind him to say why he would have this position. And so senators are going to be able to use that, the fact that she's Florida Attorney General, be able to point to that and say, okay, she has some credentials to do this job. And they'll be able to use that confirmation hearing to try and bolster their support for her. But there's certainly red flags across the board when it comes to the Trump team.
Well, let's talk about potential red flags when it comes to Pam Bondi. Christy, at the 2016 Republican National Convention, Bondi joined others in the lock her up chants directed at Hillary Clinton. And she said this just last year, in fact, on Fox.
When Republicans take back the White House, you know what's going to happen? The Department of Justice, the prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones. The investigators will be investigated, because the deep state, last term for President Trump, they were hiding in the shadows. But now they have a spotlight on them, and they can all be investigated.
Is that someone who can be trusted to lead the Justice Department for all Americans and without fear or favor in their work?
No. And that's somebody who is chosen so that she can be loyal to Donald Trump. She's not there to serve the public. She's there to serve him. And when you hear rhetoric like that, that is exactly the kind of person who should not be leading the Justice Department. This is somebody who also peddled false election claims from 2020, saying that Donald Trump won Pennsylvania in a press conference when he did not, talking about fake ballots when none existed and there was no evidence of it. So she is a dangerous pick. Yes. Is she a step above Matt Gaetz because she's not being investigated by DOJ that we know of? Sure. But she was also a prosecutor. So yes, a step up. But that is a very low bar. And when you have somebody speaking in the way that she has, where really it's just about, is she going to cater to Donald Trump's whims? Is she going to serve out his personal agenda and his vendettas? Is she there to really further his business interests? I have a feeling that the answer to all those questions is yes. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten the nod.
You've served other Republican leaders, Maura, and as Christy mentioned, Pam Bondi is somebody who was pushing election lies, tried to overturn the 2020 election. Are you surprised that it almost seems like that stance has become a job requirement in Trump's GOP?
It does, because there are so many in the GOP that have urged the president to stop with that, have urged the Trump MAGA world to stop pushing that lie, because their own judges found, not a single one of them found any credibility to those claims. And so especially for senators who don't like being pushed around by anyone, essentially, I think this is a problem for them, just to have to grapple with that question of the election of 2020, because they know that it wasn't fraudulent and that there's no evidence to prove that it was otherwise. And so it is frustrating, I'm sure, for GOP senators to continue to have to keep up with this.